Hello everyone and welcome back to Great Deltan. Today we actually have something exciting because we're going to be making a start on the actual layout, and we're going to be starting with the branch line. So welcome to the first of many in a little mini series of building the branch line. Now the reason I want a branch line is because I like some operational interest in the layout. Now obviously I'm a fan of just roundy. I prefer to just watch the trains go around, set them up, let them go, and enjoy watching them go around as opposed to things like shunting. But I would like something to do on the layout as well, but not to the depths of like a goods yard or anything. So that's why I'm going to be building a branch line. Now, if you remember on the original Mark I Great Deltan back in the Yardmaster Garden Shed, when I lived on the holiday park, I did make a small branch line, travelled from the main station to a small country station. However, it was very poorly built, had no dropper wires, had not the best scenery around it, and it was just a bit unrealistic with the curves. Obviously that was back when I was a bit of a novice modeller, but as I've advanced a bit since then, it should be a lot better now, and I plan to build a much bigger, better and more detailed branch line on this layout. So let's talk quickly about the route of where this branch line is actually going to go. Over on the left hand side here, where all of this stuff is, will be a large mainline station. That will be one of the focal points of the layout. It will be a through station with 4 to 6 platforms, but it will also have 2 bay platforms for the branch line. They will be completely isolated from the rest of the layout, and they will serve the one purpose of being a terminus for the branch. So it's probably going to end up around here where these boxes are, sort of where the bay platforms will end, and then as we come down they will join the sort of station throat, as you will, before they diverge slightly and go on a decline to a slightly lower level than the main line. That will form a retaining wall behind the branch line to support the main line, and I think that'll be quite a nice view there. Over here there'll be a scenic break where all the tracks will vanish, and then as we come over here they will once again emerge at 2 different levels, the branch line and the main line. The branch will be at the front and the main line will be at the back, and then sort of around here I haven't really decided completely yet. I've got a track plan in mind and I know I want certain things, but the branch line is what I am most sure about, hence why I'm starting with it. Over here then, as the tracks emerge from the tunnels, there will be our first station or our first stop on this branch line, which will just be a 2 platform through station, sort of a countryside little area with a footbridge or a sort of level crossing to get from platform to platform, and then behind it will be the main lines. Now the reason I want the branch line to be slightly lower down than the main line is because I want an unobstructed view of this large sweeping super elevated curve which I plan to have for the main lines. So then as we come out of the station we will start to climb a little bit until we get to the same level as the main line around here. From there the tracks will travel together in parallel, and then eventually they'll separate into what I hope to make will be a countryside cutting again. That was quite a good, it was quite a fun build, the countryside cutting on the previous layout, and it was obviously quite popular with the channel as well, so I'd like to replicate something on this. But this time there'll be a branch line cutting and then a main line cutting, so it'll be a bit wider on the main line. So over here will be the next scenic break, and that will be the last point at which the branch line actually stays with the main line on the layout. As I've told you in a couple of videos before, over this end will be a unloading and loading area for the main line, as I won't be having a fiddle yard. Ow, treading on all my tools. So as the branch line comes around here to the right, it's going to stay at the front of the layout where it will climb, and at this point it will be down to single track and it will just be more like a shelf layout. I think what I'm going to be doing is just a little bit of scenery on this shelf layout. The baseboard for it probably be about 10 to 15 centimeters wide, and it will climb up the front here. I might need to put in a helix to get the elevation I need, but then it will do a U-turn around here and then start to travel at the back of the layout at about a height of between 25 and 20 centimeters, I think. And that's where we will have our second station, and that will just be a single platform halt style station. And then as we come around here, we will then have a broad curve, or I haven't decided yet whether I'll have a broad curve or whether I'll have a tight curve and hide it. I think the broad curve might be better, but it will eat a bit into my layout space then. And then we will go on the home straight, which will just be a nice straight piece of track along the back of the layout here, all the way to this back corner where the branch line will terminate on a 3-platform terminus. There will be 2 platforms in use and then 1 platform, which will give me a chance to have a play with some scenery to make it look nice and old, abandoned and derelict. So that's the summary of the route, and what that gives me is a nice decent length branch line. We've got a bit of operational interest with it going from double track to single track, and then obviously the terminus having 3 platforms as well. It has 4 stations on the route, and I haven't quite calculated what that is in scale length of track. I think it is roughly about 1.5 kilometers. So it's a decent length. And then obviously I've not just got the main lines going around, then I can actually have a train going from point A to point B with intermediate stops. Another reason why I'm starting with the branch line is because it will be over the back on this large length here on the home straight, so it's just going to be a bit easier to access that. What I can do is I can build all the supports underneath, and then the actual track surface, the baseboard, I can bring to the front here, and then it will be a lot easier just to model that at the front, and then when it's finished I can just lift it on at the back. What I plan to do for the first section of the branch line is the station, and then we'll have the long straight, and we'll probably do it all the way down to the station halt, and that's where I will stop until I get the main line done then, because the main line's going to go under the branch in this area. We'll have the main line coming under here, and then the branch will U-turn over it, so I don't want to be working under anything. I'd rather get it all done in levels. So that will be the main scope of the first section of the branch line and the focus of this mini-series. So let's have a quick talk about stock. The branch line will be ran completely by DMUs, and just for now we have this Farish 158, which will be the main piece of stock for the branch line. Eventually I'll probably invest in a couple more of these and a class 153 or something, but it's just going to be unelectrified and DMU driven. The original plan was actually to have the 1938 tube stock doing this route, but I'd like to get started with the layout, and I don't know the dimensions of the stock in order to build the right platform heights. Plus it would have been a lot of work having to add a 3rd rail the entire length of the route as well. Obviously the 1938 tube stock's 3rd rail electrified, so it would have been a lot of extra effort, and it wouldn't have given me as much versatility with what stock could run the line then. So just standard gauge DMU driven gives me a bit of choice then. As for control, I'm not going to automate this. I could do in the future, as it should be accessible still when the whole layout's done, as I am building it layer by layer. It's not just on one big baseboard, so I should be able to access it to put things in. But at the minute, no plans for automation. It would just be controlled by myself, this Pico handset, and the DR5000. So today is part 1 of this mini-series, which is just an introduction, but in the future we will have the baseboard and back scenes. We'll then start to go through track laying and wiring, we'll do ballasting, we'll do track detailing, track weathering, and then we'll work on more of the scenic side. So there should be a fair few videos in this series. And what I do in this series will pretty much set the tone for how I build the rest of the railway as well. So I'll be doing the same style of ballasting and track weathering, track detailing for the rest of it. So in these videos will be a good sort of how-to, really, of how I do all these things. So lastly, before I leave you, I'll just have a quick talk through of everything I've bought so far in preparation for not just the branch line, but also the layout build as a whole. Over here we've got some foam boards, which would be great for countrysides and scenery. embankments and whatnot. Got a couple of back scenes there, and that is just for the branch line. Got some ballast and some turf. Got a static grass applicator. I've invested in a bit more of an expensive one than the previous one, as I used to just have the Pico one, but now we've got the WWC Nix one. That was around 80 quid from Amazon. And of course, the batteries for it. Got a couple of buildings there, which I got from the National Engage show. Plenty of platform edges for my branch line station. And then we've got some trunking here as well. I've also ordered some 3D printed trunking off of 3D Wagon Works. Got my burnt umber acrylic there for the base scene, for the base colour for the scenery. Plenty of flexi track at the back there, and then a couple of points for the branch line station. Got a couple of CR signals here, just 2 aspect ones, which will be manually driven by a switch. Signal box here for the branch. Power supply for the lighting circuit, which I do plan on implementing. And then we've just got a fair few materials here, like some plaster of Paris. We've got the plaster mould, plenty of super glue, big tub of PVA, and then that in that envelope there are some bits from scale model scenery, and then some cork underlay, because on this layout I do finally plan on putting my track on some cork. It's not for the noise so much, it's just I actually want a ballast shoulder to make it look a bit more realistic. So that's it for today. I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to the first part of the layout build, and to say that we are actually making a start on this layout. In the next video, we will bring you some actual construction work. I know I said that a couple of videos ago, but it's actually definitely going to be happening now. So thank you for your continued interest in the layout, and I will definitely be bringing you a more exciting video in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.